Good people YouTube, I'm the Watch Idiot, and yeah, it's a very big day because I finally have a Seamaster 300 back in the collection after making the biggest mistake of my watch life by selling my steel black dial SMP back in 2019. And then I saw my cousin's Seamaster at length back in January in LA, and yeah, ever since then, the idea of rebuying the watch has been ever present in the back of my mind, just because I could not get enough of that insanely incredible dial and wrist feel. And that brings me to now, because I have bought the Ceramic and Titanium Seamaster Professional, which is a bit unexpected because even I wasn't fully expecting to get it, but I got it, and yeah, this whole experience has been really eye-opening, and I just have so many thoughts about this watch and the situation. So in this video, I'm gonna get into the dimensions, what it's like on the wrist, and all the details, and finally, why I bought this particular Seamaster in the first place, considering how obsessed I was and still am about the steel version. Oh, and also just to put it out there, this is one of the most underrated, best value watches out there, especially within Omega. Let's get into it. So first off, as always, the dimensions, and once again, the numbers on paper do not equate at all to real life, because this technically has a 43.5mm case with a thickness of 14.5mm and a lug-to-lug of 51.4mm. And I only just did the measurements a couple days ago after buying the watch like 3 months ago. So each and every measurement as I was taking it was just surprising me, because I just was not expecting those numbers. Because in comparison, this wears just about the same, if not smaller than my Pelagos, and it's much thinner than the Pelagos, despite it having the same thickness. And compared to a Speedmaster, it only wears a touch bigger. And of course, compared to the steel Seamaster, it only wears a touch bigger, and that's mainly down to this watch being black. I mean, black watches almost always wear smaller than it would if it was steel. Then in terms of weight, it's the same as the watch head of the smaller Seiko Captain Willard at 83 grams, and it's actually 2 grams less than the Marine Master 200 GMT. And yeah, no one will say that either of those two watches are not, you know, solid but comfy watches. So yeah, this 43.5mm watch wears super comfortably for a watch of any size for that matter, and it's just as comfortable as the very comfy steel version. And yeah, I could wear this watch 24/7, no problem. But because of the steel movement and the physical size, it's not necessarily a featherweight like titanium, which is good for some folks. That said, I'm a very much a titanium guy, so I do wish I got a little bit more of that sensation of lightness, but you know, that's just me. So the dial is probably the biggest star here, and on the steel version as well. And it was that insanely awesome dial that I missed so much over the last 4 years since I sold my steel Seamaster, and it was that dial that immediately drew me back in when I wore my cousin's one. And here on the Ceramic Seamaster, it's different, and that was probably my biggest worry, because I absolutely love that almost fully polished ceramic dial of the steel version. So yeah, you know, I was thinking like, can a majority matte dial live up to that super, super high bar? And yeah, the answer was surprisingly, yeah. And the reason why I still find it so engaging 3 months later is that there are still polished surfaces on the dial, and those polished surfaces are the waves, so it's kind of the opposite of the steel version. And those polished waves still reflect light the way that ceramic reflects light, which is amazing. The way that the dial changes in different lights is just next level stuff, because it can go from a chill matte dial to a wild white waved stunner, just depending on the angle you're looking at it. Then of course we have the all brushed hands and indices, which look absolutely spot on for the stealthier watch, and the indices are as three-dimensional as ever. And yes, seeing them from the side and just seeing their shadows is just fantastic. And there is no date window at the 6 o'clock position, which will make some happy, but for me, I don't really mind date windows at all, especially at the 6 o'clock position. And Omega's typeface in the date disc is really, really cool, and I really, really enjoy it. So I actually kind of miss the date window, but in the end, the symmetry and the cleanness of this dial is just mighty. And yeah, it still manages to this day to give me something very, very special to look at every single time I wear it. And I truly haven't even once looked at the dial and thought, oh man, I really should have gotten that steel blacked out version. And that really goes for the entire watch, but not feeling any regret about the dial was definitely one of the most surprising things about this watch, actually. And now onto the case and bezel, and yeah, the topic of ceramic cases shattering always comes up, and yes, I was of course worried about that at first, but after doing some research, there were far more stories of watches surviving intense falls and hits than there were of like shattering and lugs breaking. So yeah, all is well for me, and also that's why you get insurance as well. So yeah, I'm all set. And plus, all that would be worth it just because the look of ceramic is just incredible. I mean, Omega managed to brush the surface like it was metal, and it's just amazing to see that, plus the sharp contrast against the polished surfaces, which gives off this awesome gray look. And actually, the brush surfaces also give off that gray look. So yeah, and that's just unlike any other watch that I've worn, including black DLC watches. So yeah, for a full ceramic case done so spectacularly with different finishes is just incredible. And the MSRP of $8,900 right now is a lot, but you can find these for around $6,000 or maybe a little bit less, you know, all day. And since ceramic doesn't scratch, it's literally basically brand new apart from just like the tiniest little scratch on the side of the bezel. So yeah, for a bit more than the price of a steel Seamaster on a bracelet, you can get a watch in an exotic material that offers such a unique experience, and that to me is just insane. And then we have the bezel in titanium, and it's what you would expect from a Seamaster. I mean, it's got the scalloped bezel grip, and it's still not very grippy if your hands are dry, but the contrast in color actually looks a lot better than what I was expecting. But the click feel here is actually different since it's titanium, and I actually like this way more for the subtle dampened feel and the consistent sound as opposed to the of the steel one. And yeah, it just, I don't know, it like, to me, it just didn't have a consistent sound, and it's not a bad bezel or bezel feel or bezel sound at all. It's just that I don't prefer it. I prefer the click feel and experience of Tudors. And so yeah, let's just listen. Hands are dry. Oh, and the controversial helium escape valve at 10 o'clock and the crown are titanium alongside the case back, and yeah, that awesome looking movement is there, the 8806, and yeah, it's very nice to see that arabesque finished movement again. So I've said it before and I'll say it again, the integrated rubber strap on the Seamaster Professional is the best rubber strap that I've ever worn, period. And yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Even as a bracelet guy, if I ever get the steel Seamaster again, it will be on a rubber strap, and that's for, you know, reasons beyond the fact that I can't stand the bulky, non-tapering OEM bracelet. That said, since the lug-to-lug here is a bit longer than the lug-to-lug on the steel one, I end up being ever so slightly in between the holes, whereas on the steel one, it's an absolutely perfect fit. So yeah, that is unfortunate, but given the bigger size, the strap also just visually looked a little bit different and just a little bit off, I guess. But as soon as I put it on an FKM rubber strap that's got more presence going around the wrist, everything looked to be a bit more proportionate again, and I connected with the watch even more. So yeah, it's just like an interesting realization, I must say, that I wasn't expecting at all. So yeah, I'll try the OEM strap again, you know, now that it's winter and I don't really have to worry too much about my wrist expanding. Also, surprisingly enough, I don't really have an issue with it having a 21mm lug width, just because it does look very, very proportionate with the watch head. And I've got this 21mm FKM strap that I got when the Spirit Zulu time came in, so it works out. So now the big question, why did I buy this watch? And yeah, it started when I traded my beloved Grand Seiko Kirizuri SBGA 387 for Hodinkee credit to get watches for the channel. I ended up getting the Longines Spirit Zulu time and then also the awesome Seiko SRPK 17. And yeah, I mean, since I barely really wore the Kirizuri, since I was just so scared of scratching it, I wasn't really giving up a watch. I wasn't feeling an absolute absence of a watch in place of getting these watches. So eventually I got this Seamaster with the remaining credit. So with the $500 off, Labor Day sale and out of pocket, it was like $3,200 for all this ceramic goodness, and for a Longines and for a Seiko. So yeah, it was a worthy sacrifice. And I've been curious about this watch ever since I wore it back in the summer of 2019, because I love the idea of a ceramic watch, because I don't like scratching my watches. So, ceramic is perfect for that. And I obviously really, really love titanium. So putting those two together, it's always a good match. And then also more so is that I've been really wanting a black watch again, for a long time, ever since I sold the Fortis Omega 18, which is a very, very cool watch. And in a way, if I were to ever buy this watch, it would have had to be before getting a black dial Seamaster, because there's just no way that I would have spent actual money, like $5,000-$6,000 on it, after spending the money to get my all-time favorite Seamaster. That's just not possible. So yeah, whereas right now with the trade-in and just for $3,200, I'm able to experience a watch like this, which just is obviously worth a lot more than $3,200. So yeah, and actually I can now enjoy this watch and the Seamaster-ness of it. And if Omega ever releases a smaller 40mm version or a GMT version of the current one, yeah, I can probably cover most of that cost by selling or trading this watch in. So yeah, and that's something that I wouldn't have done if I got my endgame steel version right now, considering how special it would have been to me. And plus, who knows, yeah, maybe I'll love this ceramic one so much that I'll sell other watches eventually to fund a different Seamaster alongside this one. So yeah, basically my options have been subsidized and the timing was just spot on. So there you have it. Let me know what you think about this Seamaster down in the comments. And of course, hit that like button and subscribe button if you want to see more. And yeah, until the next video, good day.